traditional response to crime has been incarceration, separating offenders from society and confining them within correctional facilities. But for many offenders, particularly those who pose limited risk to the public, full incarceration is neither necessary nor effective. It is expensive. It strains the criminal justice system. And it often disrupts the very social ties, family, employment, community, that support successful reintegration after release. Welcome to Chapter 13 of Crime Science, Inmate Monitoring and Management. In this final chapter of the book, we examine the technologies that allow correctional systems to supervise offenders outside traditional incarceration, using electronic monitoring, biometric verification, and integrated data systems to balance public safety with rehabilitation. The central tool in modern inmate management is electronic monitoring. The most recognizable form is the ankle monitor, a small wearable device fastened to an offender's ankle that tracks movement and activities continuously. These devices have evolved substantially since their introduction in the 1980s, when they relied on basic radio frequency technology. Today's ankle monitors integrate global positioning system tracking, cellular communication, and tamper detection mechanisms into a single device capable of monitoring an offender 24 hours a day. The technology works by establishing a virtual perimeter around the wearer. GPS tracks geographic location through satellite positioning. Cellular communication transmits the location data to a centralized monitoring center in real time. Tamper detection systems identify any attempt to remove or interfere with the device, triggering immediate alerts to authorities. Geofencing extends these capabilities further, allowing authorities to define specific areas an offender may or may not enter, such as a victim's home, a school, or a specific neighborhood. If the offender crosses one of these digital boundaries, the system instantly alerts law enforcement. Benefits are substantial. Electronic monitoring is significantly less expensive than traditional incarceration. It allows offenders to maintain family relationships, hold employment, and engage in rehabilitative programs that would be impossible behind bars. By keeping offenders connected to community supports, electronic monitoring often addresses the root causes of criminal behavior more effectively than incarceration alone, and frequently reduces recidivism. Beyond ankle monitors, several other electronic monitoring tools play important roles. Biometric monitoring systems use unique physical or behavioral characteristics, fingerprints, retinal patterns, voice recognition, to verify identity and confirm an offender's whereabouts. Voice recognition systems, for example, can authenticate a parolee during scheduled telephone check-ins, analyzing pitch, rhythm, and intonation to confirm the speaker is the correct person. Portable GPS tracking devices supplement ankle monitors, allowing for more discrete location monitoring in certain cases. Biometric ankle monitors combine GPS tracking with physiological sensors that measure heart rate, skin conductance, and other biological indicators, adding another layer of behavioral data to the supervision process. Remote breathalyzer systems support sobriety requirements. When abstinence from alcohol is a condition of supervision, these devices analyze breath samples remotely and transmit blood alcohol concentrations to monitoring authorities, triggering immediate alerts when violations occur. These technologies form the foundation of two important alternatives to traditional incarceration: house arrest and parole supervision. House arrest, also known as community detention or home confinement, allows eligible offenders to serve their sentences within their own homes under continuous electronic supervision. The principle behind house arrest is that separating offenders from their social networks can actually exacerbate criminal tendencies and impede rehabilitation. By keeping offenders in familiar environments, house arrest seeks to address the underlying causes of criminal behavior: substance abuse, family instability, lack of employment, while still maintaining strict controls on movement and behavior. Electronic monitoring is essential to making house arrest work. Without it, supervision would be impossible at scale. Parole supervision serves a related but distinct purpose. Parole allows individuals who have served part of their incarceration sentences to reintegrate into society under continued state supervision. The goals are clear: gradual reintegration, development of essential life skills, reduction of recidivism, and relief of correctional overcrowding. But parole comes with significant challenges. Parolees must maintain employment, attend counseling, follow curfews, avoid specific people or places, and demonstrate ongoing compliance with their release conditions. Electronic monitoring transforms parole supervision from a periodic check-in into a continuous oversight system. GPS-enabled ankle bracelets track parolees' movements in real time. Substance use detection systems monitor for alcohol or drug use. Curfew enforcement happens automatically. Violations trigger alerts. Authorities can intervene quickly when conditions are breached. Research suggests these technologies can meaningfully reduce recidivism, particularly when combined with access to support services like housing, employment, programs, and substance abuse treatment. Yet inmate monitoring raises significant legal and ethical questions that require careful attention. The first concerns privacy. Continuous electronic surveillance, particularly GPS tracking, reveals an individual's precise location at all times. Even for offenders with reduced privacy expectations, the depth and persistence of this surveillance challenges fundamental notions of personal autonomy. The data collected can include not only where an offender is, but who they associate with, what businesses they patronize, what places of worship they attend, what political activities they engage in. The second concerns civil liberties more broadly. Electronic monitoring affects freedom of movement and freedom of association. Reconciling the legitimate goals of supervision with the protection of these basic rights requires careful policy design and meaningful oversight. The third concerns the potential for power abuse. Electronic monitoring concentrates significant authority in the hands of corrections officials and monitoring contractors. Without robust safeguards, the system can become punitive beyond what was intended, transforming community supervision into a form of digital imprisonment. The fourth concerns data retention and security. Vast amounts of sensitive location and behavioral data are collected continuously. How long is this data retained? Who can access it? How is it protected from breaches or misuse? These are not technical questions. They are foundational ethical questions that determine whether electronic monitoring serves justice or undermines it. Several practical challenges shape the future of this field. Cost remains an ongoing concern. While electronic monitoring is generally less expensive than incarceration, the equipment, infrastructure, and skilled personnel required all demand sustained investments. Public and political resistance can complicate implementation. Some communities view electronic monitoring as too lenient. Others view it as too invasive. Building consensus around its appropriate use requires sustained public engagement. Skilled personnel are essential. Monitoring technologies are only as effective as the trained staff who operate them, interpret the data, and respond to alerts. Investment in workforce development is as important as investment in equipment. Looking ahead, several emerging technologies will reshape inmate monitoring in significant ways. Artificial intelligence and predictive analytics are being integrated into monitoring systems to identify patterns that suggest emerging risks. Flagging behaviors that may precede violations, allowing authorities to intervene preventively rather than reactively. Advanced biometric technologies, facial recognition, more sophisticated fingerprint systems are increasingly being incorporated to enhance identity, verification, and reduce evasion attempts. Blockchain technology is being explored as a means of tracking offender records with tamper-resistant integrity, reducing the possibility of data manipulation or fraud across multiple jurisdictions. Integration with support services is becoming more seamless, connecting electronic monitoring with mental health counseling, substance abuse treatment, employment services, and housing assistance to address the underlying needs that drive criminal behavior. International collaboration is expanding, particularly for transnational crimes. Electronic monitoring systems that can track offenders across borders represent a significant capability for managing cross-jurisdictional cases. Several real-world programs illustrate what works. The Stockholm model in Sweden emphasizes rehabilitation and reintegration. Offenders receive ankle monitors and are permitted to continue employment, education, or therapy while serving their sentences. The program has produced notable reductions in recidivism, meaningful employment outcomes for participants, and significant cost savings. Minnesota's electronic monitoring program targets low-risk, non-violent offenders eligible for early release or community supervision, using GPS ankle bracelets to enforce curfews and location restrictions. The program has demonstrated high compliance rates and meaningful reductions in recidivism compared to traditional parole. The Thames Valley Integrated Offender Management Program in the United Kingdom takes a more intensive approach, using advanced biometric monitoring for higher risk offenders with histories of violent or sexual offenses. By combining biometric data with real-time tracking and proactive risk assessment, the program has produced significant reductions in reoffending, illustrating that electronic monitoring can be effective even with higher risk populations when combined with appropriate support and oversight. Inmate monitoring and management bring together many of the technologies we have examined throughout this book. GPS tracking, biometric identification, communication systems, data analytics, and integrated information networks. Together, they form a coherent system for managing offenders in ways that balance public safety, rehabilitation, and fiscal responsibility. But the system only works when it remains aligned with its underlying purpose. Electronic monitoring is not simply about controlling offenders. It is about supporting their reintegration into society in ways that prevent future crime and strengthen communities. The technology serves people, not the other way around. This is the central lesson of crime science as a whole. Across 13 chapters, we have explored surveillance systems, predictive policing, biometrics, cybersecurity, geographic information systems, forensic, technologies, non-lethal weapons, communication technologies, vehicle technologies, wearable technology, financial investigation tools, and inmate monitoring. Each represents a different facet of the same fundamental transformation, the integration of advanced technology into every stage of the criminal justice process. Each of these technologies has the power to advance justice. Each carries the potential for misuse. The future of crime science depends not only on continued technical innovation, but on continued ethical vigilance, strong legal frameworks, transparent policies, meaningful oversight, genuine accountability, active public engagement. When these foundations are in place, technology becomes a force for safety, fairness, and dignity. When they are absent, even the most sophisticated tools can erode the very rights and freedoms they are meant to protect. Crime science, at its best, is the disciplined application of scientific knowledge and technological capability to the pursuit of justice, guided always by an unwavering commitment to the rights of individuals, the integrity of evidence, and the welfare of communities. That commitment is what makes the work meaningful, and it is what will define the future of the field. This concludes our journey through crime science.